Hello, welcome to episode 97 of the Craft House Magic podcast. My name's Ellie and I'm coming to you from Norwich in Norfolk in the UK, and today's the 2nd of January. So happy new year everybody! I'm here to share all the things that I've been making since the last podcast, and it's been a bit longer since the last podcast. It's been 2 weeks because I had a week off over Christmas, just to have a little bit of a break really and spend time with family, but I've got a few more things to share with you hopefully. To be honest, I don't feel as if I have. You'll see anyway. I have some knitting to show you, and I'm going to talk about the Make 9 targets I achieved from last year and my new targets for this year. I have some spinning, some sewing, and some confessions, as well as some information on my shop update at the end. So we've had the festive craft going along in the Ravelry group, and that's coming to an end now, but I will pop the winners probably by the end of this week in the Ravelry group, so you'll be able to see whether you're a winner there. I thought we need a new craft along for this year, so I'm going to start one, so it'll go from January until the end of March, and it's going to be called the Retro Mal. So the retro make along, which just means you want to be making things that are either a theme like 80s, 70s, 90s, whatever. If it's retro, I suppose. I think 70s, 80s and 90s and noughties are sort of retro these days, so anything related to that. And basically all of my hand-dyed yarn is based on sort of 80s and 90s songs, so any of those would be relevant. But any other sort of tenuous links, it doesn't have to be made with my yarn, any sort of tenuous link to a retro series or a film or music, it would be brilliant to see what you're making. And anything that's sort of set in the 80s, like Stranger Things for instance, that would be a good thing to link in there. So I would love to see what you're going to be making, and I'll open the Ravelry group just after I've recorded the podcast, so watch out for that. I will be having a discussion thread that I'll draw prizes from, rather than having a separate finished objects thread, so we can just keep chatting away and I'll draw for prizes from that thread only. So let's get on with the good stuff. So we have some knitting today to show you. I have a couple of finished objects. First of all, I have my mud punch socks that I'd started. I think I got everything finished apart from the heels in the last episode. So there they are. They're beautiful, beautiful colourway, and they're a company called Mud Punch, and they're made from the classic Queen colourway, and they are absolutely gorgeous. My friend Peggy sent me this yarn all the way from America, and it's almost like a sport weight, this yarn. So I'd say it's between a 4-ply and a sport weight, so it's made a lovely squishy thick pair of socks. So I chose to do top down socks, and I've done I basically knitted a tube with a toe and then did some afterthought heels because I wanted to keep those stripes in there nicely. I thought about using sort of the one with the red in there, and I didn't choose it in the end. I chose the turquoisey bit to show. I don't know whether that was a good choice. I thought because I'd already got red up here, it might, and red at the toe, it might be a bit too much red. So I did the turquoise for the heels. But I love these socks, absolutely love them. I haven't actually blocked them properly yet, so I've got a bit of a ridge where they've been knitted on magic loop, but they are beautiful, absolutely gorgeous. So I have got a tutorial where I show you how I do my afterthought heel, which I will link up in the corner just here if you're interested in that. But otherwise I just knitted the tube and then just did the toe and did the afterthought heel afterwards, because that's what an afterthought heel is. My second finished object is the Perfect socks that I knitted for Adam, and these are knitted in a Regia yarn, a Regia, I can never say it properly, and it's an Arnie and Carlos colourway where you basically draw the yarn out of the middle of the ball. It has a yellow bit which you cut off, and then you start knitting with the green, and then it goes into this patterned colour. Once it starts to go green again, you knit the heel flap, and then you can start doing your decreases and doing the foot area. Knit as normal. do your toe decreases, cast off, and then you can keep pulling the yarn out until it hits the yellow bit again, and it'll be the same order. Really enjoyed knitting these, and I'm really pleased with how those colours look. Really enjoyed knitting those. Mum did help me quite a bit, thankfully, because I wanted to get them done for Christmas Day, and Adam's worn them already. Really pleased with how those are looking. Ta-da! So that's my second finished object for the last 2 weeks. But I do have some works in progress, so I'm going to show you those now. So I did intend to finish these for Christmas, but no. So I've been knitting on my Jingle Bell Rock socks. No, in my Jingle Bell Rock colourway, my candy cane socks, and they've got cabled candy canes going down the side of the foot. So I've actually nearly finished the leg. So I'm almost down to where the heel flap is actually, but I was knitting on this a couple of days before Christmas, and I had so much to do and people coming round, family members visiting, that I couldn't sort of keep a track of this without having to look at the pattern, which I'd only got on my phone, which is silly. Considering it's my own pattern, you'd think I'd remember it really, but no. Especially when people are talking to me, I don't. So I do have a finished one which looks like this. I should show you on a sock blocker really, so you can see it a little bit better, because cables always pull in. And so there we are, that's how they look. Obviously I've got to about there, so I could have finished these off before Christmas really, but I was naughty. I was distracted by some other things that I'll show you in a minute. So while I was knitting those, I cast on, well, not while I was knitting those, because I can't knit two things at the same time, but Mum was saying that she wanted something to knit, but she's not very good at casting on, so I cast these on for her. And they're a pair of socks that are from the Katia yarn. So the Katia yarn came in a box like this, and I picked this one up here so it goes from a red to a black there. So I'm knitting those, or Mum has helped me knit these quite a lot. So I knit the cuff, and then she knitted down the leg of the sock. So you can see where it's going a little bit darker down these stripes here. So basically you can see where some of the plies increase in the amount of grey that's in there as you're going down the sock. So there's actually two cakes like this. This is the one I haven't started yet, and it does go to like almost a black in there. Well, it does go to a black. I don't know why it's almost. But that's the second cake, and I haven't touched that, but this is how I've got down to on this one, or rather Mum has, because she did most of this for me. When I was knitting the cuff, obviously Mum did all this bit, but I did notice that it was quite a splitty yarn, and it's not really my favourite thing to knit with. The plies were coming undone quite easily, especially at the end of the yarn. If you look at it here, it's quite splitty. So don't know if I'd buy this yarn again, but it is fun that it goes from red and grades down to a grey and then black. So we'll see how those go. But that's my second thing that's on the needles. But I do have quite a big project that I'd started with my Advent mini. So I'm housing my project in the lovely bag that Little Workroom Crafts Davina sent me. And she's got a little logo there, and she does a podcast, and she did all Vlogmas as well, and that was fun to watch. I'm still behind on some, because basically by the 20th of December I had no time to watch Vlogmas. But I've been knitting on my Adventina shawl while my relatives have sort of been around over Christmas, because it's quite an easy pattern to keep in your head. So it started with the point at the bottom, and then I've been knitting all the way up here, and I've got to these sort of mustardy colours. So I have 3 progress keepers there that just remind me that this side is where all the increases and decreases are, so that I don't forget to do them, because I have on a few rows. But that's how it's looking so far. I have actually managed to get all the ends sewn in, either as I'm going, or I've gone back to them if I've actually forgotten to sew them in as I go. But I do love this shape. I think it's going to be amazing. So I'm using the minis that I got from my advent calendars, which my main advent calendars, which was a bought one, was from Flourish Fibres, and that was some beautifully dyed natural dyes, and they're all basically the solid colours that are in the shawl. But I decided, just to mix things up a bit, I'd use some of the minis that was sent to me by Jean, because we did a mini swap, to break those solid colours up with some of the speckled. So these ones here, here and here were sent to me by my friend Jean. And actually some of those might also have been from my stash. I got my mini stash out to see what that'd look like. But I'm really pleased with this so far. It's getting quite big. Do you know, it's gone, I think from Christmas Day I'd got to about there. So I have knitted all that in about a week. So I'm really pleased with that. I've been keeping my minis in an egg box so that they're in the order that I'm going to choose to use them. I set them all out on the table. I took a picture for my Instagram just to show you what order I got them in, but they're now in egg boxes waiting for me to use so that I know which one's going next, because I want them to grade from one colour to the next. But that's looking lovely, and it is a bit of an addictive knit, I warn you. So now that I've sort of got into it, once I'd got past the bit where the corner bit had increased to the full width, I was away, absolutely away. So the Adventina shawl is by Katrin Schubert, and I shall leave a link to the pattern in the show notes. So show notes will be on my website, crafthousemagik.co.uk, in the menu on the left hand side. So that's all my works in progress, I think. Yes, all my works in progress done. So let me talk about my Make 9 from last year. So last year I made a little photo of the 9 projects that I wanted to complete for this year, and I've basically only achieved 3. So I have finished, going from the top left, I have done my Cherry Bloom cardigan, which is this one, and it's by Leonor Cardigan, and I shall show you that. So this is my Cherry Bloom cardigan, which I was calling the Cherry Blossom cardigan for ages. So mine is called the Cherry Blossom cardigan. So it's a colourwork yoke that's knitted top down, and it's a steeked buttoned front. And it's a really nice shape actually, that I think actually I modified it quite a bit by some bust increases, doing some little sort of bust darts there, but it does fit really nicely and it's very warm. It's knitted with John Arbon Textiles Knit by Numbers, which is 100% merino wool, but I'm afraid it does peel a little bit. Not sure whether you can really see that. As you can tell, I have a new camera. I'm so not used to the focusing yet. But you can see that it's pilled there. I have worn it a couple of times since I've de-pilled it, so I need to get on that and tidy it up a little bit before I wear it again. But that's my Cherry Blossom cardigan. It should be Cherry Bloom really, but I like that name. I've changed it. Second on my list on here was my Vertices Unite, and this pattern is by Stephen West, and I love this as well. This is one of my favourite shawls, I think. So it's made of little panels with different yarns. I think there was 5 different yarns I used, and they were all from ones from my shop that I dyed, but I normally wear this just like I normally wear all my shawls really, just like that. Keeps me nice and warm around my neck. Ta-da! So that was number 2 I achieved, and I've almost finished the 3rd one on there, which is my cardigan, which is my antler cardigan, and I absolutely meant to finish the button bands over Christmas, but I absolutely haven't. I haven't even touched it, so that's dreadful, isn't it? Might be easier if I show you the back really, because you can see the cables. So there's the lovely cables on the back of the cardigan, and I've done all the sleeves and everything. I just need to pick up stitches on the front there and do the button bands. I need to get my finger out, Ellie. Pull your finger out. Oh dear. And then if I look at the rest of the Make 9, targets. I basically didn't achieve anything else. I think the main problem was that I think there was a few too many sort of toy things and socks on my list. So I think that this year I want to put more things on my list that are the things that I really want to achieve, rather than just making sure that I got smaller projects on there, if that makes sense. So this is my new Make 9 for this year. My printer hasn't printed it out brilliantly, I'm afraid. I'll put the picture on the screen so you can see it a little bit better. So first on the list that I want to make is the Pure Joy shawl by Joji Locatelli. Absolutely gorgeous. It's quite a long shawl that will wrap around a lot to keep me nice and warm, with some stripes on there, and I'll pop a picture on the screen. I haven't decided on what yarn I'm going to use for it yet, but it'll probably include like a dark grey, I'm thinking. So I need to knit some shawls that are a bit more sort of grey and black and navy to go with my clothes, really. So that's what I'm missing in my shawls at the moment. So we'll see how that happens. So the second one I've got on the list is the Jigsaw puzzle by Stephen West. And as soon as I saw this, I thought, oh, what a beautiful design. So it's basically something that you can use lots of scrappy yarns for, to use them up, and also just have a beautiful big triangle shawl. And Stephen had got some tassels on the picture I've got off Ravelry, and I just love them. I'm obsessed with tassels at the moment. I need as many tassels in my life as possible. So I think I'm going to use all my minis that I've got in my stash. I've got quite a lot of minis that I need to sort of use up this year. This basket is full, so I need to use those, and there's more. Oh dear. So I need to use those, so I'm going to do that. The third on my list is the Right Around the Corner shawl, and that is by Lisa Haynes, and that is another beautiful triangular shawl, and it's very simple actually. But when it's on, it just looks so nice. Sometimes I think that you can't really see all the different panels in this one, for instance, but for the Right Around the Corner shawl, it's just a nice simple triangle shape with two different strips of colour on the front, and then once it's around your neck, it just looks gorgeous. So I want one of those. So I've already decided what yarn I'm going to use for the Right Around the Corner shawl, and it's two skeins that I've actually hand-dyed myself. They were on the shelf and I was like, oh yes, these two are the ones. So this is You Can't Hurry Love and Here Comes the Rain Again, and they're both on my Stellina base, and I just love those two together. I think they work well. They're actually in this one, I think that's when I first saw them together. It's these two. So there is a point where they're striped like this in the Right Around the Corner shawl, so I know that they'll look really lovely. But I'll have a whole shawl in them, so I'm excited to make those. And I have one more shawl, so I've gone a bit mad on shawls this year, but I know that I wear them loads, so it's fine. This is my justification. So my fourth thing that I want to make is called the Slumber shawl by Stephen West. Again, two Stephen West. So it's a beautiful triangular shawl, but has lovely wavy edges. I haven't decided what colours to do it in, but it's beautiful. I have had my eye on that a little while. So I thought I cannot have any more shawls on my list. So I've got a cowl pattern that I've picked, and the cowl that I fancied doing is the Fraxinus Cowl by Isolde Teague. And I actually had the pattern that was gifted to me by my friend Jo. I think it was last year at Edinburgh Yarn Festival. And it's a beautiful, quite a long cowl with some really lovely textured stitches on it. This year at Christmas, I really wanted to have made more Christmas decorations for the Christmas tree, and I thought I needed to knit some more. So I've seen this beautiful star pattern, and it's called the Starnia. I can't pronounce this. I'm absolutely rubbish. I will write it on the screen, and I will show a picture so you'll know that what it's like. But it's by Carolina Eckerdal. I think I'm really sorry for pronouncing that incorrectly, but I will leave a link in the show notes as well, so you can find it, as well as writing it on the screen. But those stars are really gorgeous, and I thought that making some of those to go on the Christmas tree will be nice. And I thought also, not just making this a specific project, but I think that this target for my Make 9 is to make a few more decorations for the Christmas tree as well, rather than making it a very fixed project for just that. So it's multiple things. I think I need to make a few more little knitted jumpers and things for the tree as well. That would be nice. And some baubles. Some beautiful baubles were on the Christmas craft along, or the festive craft along. Absolutely gorgeous. So I'm really inspired to make some of those. And I have all year to do it now. So I have some garments, 3 garments for the Make 9 as well. So first on the list is the Branches and Buds jumper, and this is knitted in a sport weight yarn, but actually I do a BFL yarn in my shop that's actually a bit thicker than 4-ply is normally, so I'm going to use that, and I'm sure I can get my tension to work to get the right size. And the Branches and Buds sweater is by Carrie Bostick Haig. I've had my eye on it for a while, but I just haven't had chance, or I haven't picked any yarn for it, so we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I might dye yarn specifically for it for myself. Next on the list is a jumper that I've actually caked up the yarn for, so I really should finish it this year. So it was a jumper that I saw on Barbara from Knitting I Love podcast, and I dyed some of my own yarn in my purple haze colourway for the Gwanwyn sweater by Verena Cause. I think that's how you pronounce it. Do apologise if it is incorrect, but I shall show a picture up here, and it's a beautiful lacy yoke area, and my purple haze colourway is like a pale purple, and I think that'll work nicely with it. And it's a DK weight jumper, so it should knit up relatively quickly. The last but not least item on my Make 9 list is the Leonor Cardigan by Lisa Much, and I don't know how I found this cardigan, but it's absolutely beautiful. I love cardigans that are sort of really flowy at the bottom, and the sleeves are flowy too, and I thought that what I'd do is I want to sort of knit the sleeve down to here before I then start making it float out too much, because I think it might annoy me a little bit, because the original pattern looks as if it flares out about right here. I shall see. I'll keep trying it on as I'm making it and just see what modifications I'm going to make. So there we are, that's my Make 9. Hopefully I'll make more than 3 of them this year. I think I need to really make a list of what sort of months I'm going to do each of the projects in, so that I keep track of what I'm doing a little bit better. And it's not sort of a challenge that you sort of have to do, it's just something nice to try and target your making so that you get the things made that you want to finish. And of course, it doesn't really matter if you don't do them, like me, and I've only done 3 out of 9. Oh dear. So that's all the knitting-y bit. I have some spinning to show you. So this yarn is spun from a yarn I picked up, not a yarn, it's spun from some fleece that I picked up from You and Ply in Shrewsbury earlier last year, I think it was, and it is a gorgeous silk and merino base. It's got some tails, and basically the silk is the white bit in there. I'm reasonably pleased with it, but there are some thicker bits that I'm not very pleased with, because I tried to sort of relax as I was spinning this so that I didn't end up sort of stressing myself out too much. But I did enjoy spinning it, even though I'm not 100% pleased with how it come out in the end. I'm sure it will knit up fine, so I'm not quite sure what I'm going to make with it yet. So it's come out, I think it's about 4-ply-ish. I really need to measure it properly. I'm just eyeballing it here, but I've got to decide what to make with it now, so we shall see. So I also have some sewing. So I don't have it anymore because I already gifted it for Christmas, but I made a Sylvia robe for my cousin Sam, and it's a sew over it pattern, and the fabric I used was from Minerva Crafts, and it was a viscose twill fabric, which I will link in the show notes if you're interested in that. But I have some video footage that I took over Vlogmas of the finished item that Barbara was wearing, so you can see it up close. I really enjoyed working with this fabric. It was beautiful, beautiful viscose twill, and it just ironed great. It did pull a little bit, so I had to be careful not to to pull on the threads. You know, if you're cutting it with a rotary cutter and one thread doesn't cut properly, if you then pulled it away, it would then cause the colours to be distorted on that particular thread, so I had to be really careful not to do that. And I did actually cut a piece out, which I did that too, which I had to cut out again, so that it wouldn't have a big pull mark through it. So hopefully it doesn't do that when she wears it. Now it's all been hemmed and everything, I'm sure it'll be fine. But I did really enjoy making that, and I'm actually tempted to make myself one, but in a slightly smaller size, I think, because it's supposed to be sort of an oversized thing, but I tried it on and it was a little bit small on me, obviously, because I normally make the extra large, but I thought maybe if I made the medium, the bit up the top here, that it would lay on my shoulders a bit more comfortably and flattering, I thought. We'll see. I'll have a go anyway. I need to think about what I'll be sewing, what my sewing targets are for the year next week, I think, so I'll share them with you then. So that's one sewing project done. Yesterday I decided I'd have a sort out of my craft room. I started to sort things out and I realised I need another pin pennant, because I've got a lot of pins. So I actually made one of my own, the design that I make for my shop really. And I made another one for myself, for my pins that I'd got in a box waiting to be hung up. So here's my pin pennant that I've made. So I actually had quite a lot of pins ready to go up, so it's a good job I've made it now, and before long I'll need to make another one, I think. So this is the pin pennant that I sell in my shop. It has a fiberglass rod at the top to keep it nice and strong, and a cotton sort of cord to hang it up on, and that's going to go up on my wall above my sewing machine. So you can see that there's a number of the pins that I got for my Christmas gifts on there. And I think they look gorgeous. So thank you. So I've got my confessions to show you now. So I had loads of lovely crafty related gifts, and I did show most of them on the Vlogmas for Christmas Day, if you want to have a look at those. But I thought to show you today just the books and some of the yarns I had for Christmas. So first of all, I got this book, and it's all about how you turn fabric that you make on a rigid heddle loom into garments that you can actually wear. So I thought that'd be really exciting. This is one of the things that were on my Amazon wish list, which I wanted, and I got off some of the family members. So I especially like this waistcoat on the back here, and there's a few other things that I really fancied having a go at as well. I haven't gone into so much detail that I know whether the instructions are any good yet, but I think that it has a lot of potential. So there's a different waistcoat here as well. So the one I showed you on the back, but then this one that's a bit longer as well, which I think is really cool. So there's one on the back, but then there's also this one that's a bit longer that's really cool as well. I'd like to try it out. So I shall tell you how I get on. So that's called Woven Style for the 15-inch Rigid Heddle Loom by Tamara Poff. And I found out about this I was watching a YouTube video on something on different use of the rigid heddle loom basically, and she mentioned this, so I put that on my Amazon wish list. My second book off my Christmas presents was this one, and it's absolutely gorgeous. I think most of these yoked sweaters that I really like, I should have put some of these on my Make 9 to be honest. There's so many things that I want to make. Maybe I'll replace some with one of these. I especially like this one on the front. So it's called The Art of Circular Yokes, and it's by Kerry Boggart, I think. I will put a link to the Amazon listing on the show notes as well. So, but look at that. It's another lovely one. Beautiful, beautiful yoke sweaters. I am a big fan of cardigans though, so I may turn some of these into cardigans rather than a regular sweater. See, that's another lovely one. Gorgeous. So there's so many lovely things I want to make. Oh, and the one on the back as well. Look at that. Beautiful. Anyway, that's the two books that I had. And I had some beautiful yarns for Christmas as well. I had a mini set from Ducky Darlings that was, well, the yarn was originated from Ducky Darlings, but my friend Lorraine got it for me, and they're lovely. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to make with them yet, but I'll go with my lovely mini stash. I have also got a beautiful Ducky Darlings skein that Adam bought me, and it's called Stormy Skies, and I love that. Isn't that beautiful? Absolutely gorgeous, especially like these turquoisey bits with the grey there. Gorgeous. So I also got a lovely skein from my friend Jean as well, and it's called a Geek-tastic Fibres, and it's a wibbly wobbly timey-wimey colourway. Let me show you what that looks like a little bit better, and that is absolutely gorgeous. Really loving the sort of navies at the moment. So that's the yarn I had for Christmas, I think. I did actually pick up a book last week from a shop called The Works, and it was reduced to £4. I'd seen that my friend Davina from Little Workroom Crafts had got it on her Vlogmas, so I went out to The Works to pick one up specifically, and it's got these really cute little butterflies and bugs in there. The beginning of it has actually got a really cute little children's story, so it's something you could actually buy for kids to have a read along as well. I'll show you some of the pages. You can see, isn't that cute? I don't know when or if I'll ever make these, but they're so gorgeous, and it's a lovely thing to have on the shelf as well. So I also had some lovely Christmas gifts off people. I won't show you them all, but I particularly wanted to show you this cowl that Kelly sent me, and it looks absolutely gorgeous on. So it sort of ruches up a bit and keeps you warm down your front of your coat as well, if you've got it open a bit, and it's got these beautiful buttons at the back. I don't know what pattern it is, but I'm sure that Kelly can tell me if I ask her, so if you do want to know, give me a shout. But isn't that lovely? Thank you so much, Kelly. I really appreciate this. It must have taken you quite a long time to make that up. It was absolutely huge for a cowl. So I did have a number of other lovely gifts as well, but I'm not going to go through them all, otherwise I'd be here all day. But I just have just a bit of information on my shop update. So normally I have a shop update every Friday, but this week I'm going to give it a miss because I want to get some changes made to my website before I put any more items in there. But there will be some new bases next week. I'll be introducing some more Aran bases and some BFL DK as well, so that'll be nice to have a wider range of things to offer you guys. So thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I shall see you next week.